What up, perps? Kid Copious, back in effect. Purple State Party, you know what we're doing here. Repping America, the center, common sense, keeping love in your heart. If you've got love in your heart, this Fetty Cannon, it's all for you. All right, so we're going to kick this off. I don't know if this is the actual Cash Patel. I couldn't be bothered to look. But this right here says, breaking SecDef Hegseg. It has officially canceled Pride Month. He also supposedly canceled Black History Month. And the poster says, do you support this? Yes or no? If yes, I will follow you back. You know, this is exactly what I'm always railing against. You know, over on the left, you have this all in on Pride Month type things and funding and all of that and making it the focus almost of an administration, one of the main focuses. And then on the other side, you got assholes like this. You know, what's wrong with Pride Month? What's wrong with Black History Month? There's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't discount anything else. I personally think that every month should be dedicated to raising awareness. I mean, what about Hispanic Americans? What about our veterans? What about, starving children? We have starving children in the United States. And that's one of the things that really bugs me about the way we operate. We don't focus in on the important things. We don't fix America first and then go around the world and try to help out there. No, we try to do both things at the same time. It's called burning a candle at both ends. It doesn't work. But then this also doesn't work. Lego can be anti-LGBT because bricks have male or female parts that are made to mate with one another, says Science Museum in London. What are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. You can't think of the abstract male and female without having to make it into some sort of political thing. And I like how this poster, Soy Boy Destroyer, also anti-LGBT, seatbelts, electrical plugs, plumbing components. See, those are the two fucking extremes that we have to live with in America. And the world, I doubt I'm speaking to the world right now, but if I am, I see it all around the world, the globe. It's very easy to explain purple when you look at these two articles. I'm fine with Pride Month, but we don't have to sit here and try to figure out if Legos are made to work. Seatbelts, electrical plugs, plumbing components. You have to have something that goes into something. If you have two holes, it's not going to work. If you have two plugs, it's not going to work. So there is no solution to this. But again, this is just a way for these dumb places to, get some clicks. This is from the museum's Seeing Things Queerly. Okay. But it's laughable. But the part of it that's destructible is the fact that these two opposing views, okay? Should we end Pride Month? Legos are anti-LGBT. They're designed to keep us at the different ends of the spectrum because the politicians and the people who are making money off of this kind of garbage know that that's the only way to satisfy people. That's the saddest thing that I've seen. I'm coming up. This is episode 258. And, I made a promise to myself that I would continue making these videos for 5 straight years. I would not miss a week. And I'm 2 weeks short of that 5-year mark, and I haven't missed a single week. But why is my count? Why do I get happy if I even break 30 views? You know why? Because I'm not talking about one side or the other and constantly bad-mouthing one side or the other. I'm calling the shots as I see them. And it's really sad to me. Not that I don't have viewers, not that I can't do this as a living. But what makes me sad is that that's where we are. That unless you're on these far extremes, you're not going to get any views. I don't get it because I don't see that in other categories. I just don't. You don't have people who will only watch dog videos and don't you dare put a cat in there. And that's how I feel. I feel like I'm just trying to look at this from the middle of the road. Like I say, I represent the center, right? And I know that the world would be a better place if we were at the center. You know, if we looked at these things and made decisions based on logic and common sense instead of just fucking rhetoric. You know, my rhetoric is directed at the two political parties and their mechanizations that simply divide us and don't allow us to come together as a people. And I think that's really sad. And you see the ends of these because, you know, this one on the Legos being anti-LGBT, it's got more likes than probably my entire Instagram account put together. All right, whatever. You know, I could accept the fact that maybe just nobody wants my flavor. I get it. That's just the way it is. That's the beauty of a capitalistic society. But I suspect that it's the sadder reason I was talking before. You know, that nobody wants to hear common sense. They just want to hear, oh, the Democrats are bad. They're run by Satan baby eaters. Or the Republicans, you know, oh, the Republicans are bad. You know, they want to tear down our democracy and they want to instill Christian values and Project 2025 and blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Enough of that. So, you know, despite all that, you know, I feel like I just got to keep going, keep being honest, keep saying what I mean, try to speak for the common person. You know, I like where we're going right now. I got to say, the last couple weeks have been hard for me to find articles to bring up because the craziness seems to crescendoed. And people are starting to wake up that we were going down some crazy routes over the last, 4 years, And I don't want to hear about campaign promises, what Trump said he was going to do, blah, 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 blah. That's just fucking noise. Did Biden build back? Let alone build back better. Did he create unity like he said he was? No. He chopped us up into even smaller blocks. Well, I shouldn't say Biden. What I should say is the young, naive people with no experience who are controlling Biden created this division where we're in tiny, tiny groups now. We're really broken apart and fractured. And then at the end of the day, they left everybody unsatisfied. Look, America is a moonshine drinking, gun-toting lunatics, and we tried to do good, okay? So if you're crying over this Trump administration, take your tears in a nickel, and you got a nickel, okay? Because that's all it's worth. We're moving forward to try to undo this embedded, lifelong politician scheme that's being run right now. Washington, D.C. and a lot of our state governments are at a point right now where everybody's entrenched and they're just figuring out how to make money. That's it. And before Trump came back into office, we were really worried about the rest of the world. Don't fix our problems. Let's focus on somebody else. At least right now, we're trying to put America first. It's not an agenda. It's not a tiny group, but it's for all of us. Because at the end of the day, common sense means common good. Is anybody listening? I hope so, because the only way we're ever going to change is if we change the way we vote. If we stop looking for politicians and rhetoric and extremes and start looking for people who are going to do the job that needs to be done. So there's some misgivings about this whole DOGE group. I get it. Okay. Maybe they're overstepping their bounds. Maybe they need to be, fenced in a little bit. Right. But one of their targets recently has been USAID. And USAID is a group that we're going to get into it. There is a benefit to USAID. But at the same time, USAID has funneled money to other agencies that are known to support terrorism. We've sent money to trans clinics in India. Like, I have no problem with trans people. I be honest with you, I don't really care. All right, there's a few subjects that involve them that I am a little bit, concerned about. But overall, I don't care. But why in the hell are we promoting this in India? I mean, India's got big fucking problems. So a trans clinic, I don't know how that helps. That's up to the Indian people to figure out. USAID was started by JFK. And in reality, for better or for worse, because I could see the better or worse in this, it is our soft power. It's the way that we combat our enemies without tanks and bombs. It is. We'll see some of that coming up. Right here, okay, we're going to talk about what does USAID do? Because I'm not going to sit here and try to blow smoke up your ass so that the people on the extreme right or the extreme left can get mad at me or cheer me. No, this is what some of the things that they do. They dispense medicine to 500,000 children with HIV. They monitor the bird flu in 49 countries. Think that represents our interests. We work with at-risk youth in Central America to prevent gang violence that spurs migration. Okay, I can see our interest in that. Cleaning up the land poisoned by Agent Orange in Vietnam. I'm kind of stunned that we're still doing that, but that's our responsibility. And here's where the soft power comes in. Collaborating with communities in countries like Syria, Morocco, Kazakhstan to reduce vulnerability to radicalization. See, to try to teach people that there's a better way. And I can relate to that because that is at the essence what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get people to get away from the red and the blue and realize the answer is at purple, in the middle. So USAID does do some good things, okay? I'm not going to try to sit there and pretend that they don't. But this is what it's turned into. This is from the legendary Bronco. The arm of the deep state led by the Democrats reaching into the piggy bank of USAID. And that is essentially what has happened. Not every dollar, because life is not all or nothing. Life is little bits here, little bits there. It's gray. It's the same thing with if you try to save money by doing a few different things that add up. You want to save $100. So, you stop spending 20 here, 20 there, 20 there, 20 there, 20 there. Now you got $100. You didn't just have to pull $100 out of something, right? That's the way it works. But the deep state has been reaching into USAID. And it has been being used as an international arm of what I think to be radical leftists. Whoops. We had a little bit of a computer error there, sorry. And another one came out. DOGE cancels Politico's government funding after $8 million in subscription contracts revealed. And this is one of the problems that we have with our media right now is that the left-wing media says that this is just government intervention, this is government censorship, and then the right says, oh yeah, it's just graft and it's all this. Well, there's a bit more to the story. I mean, Politico will not receive another dime of taxpayer money after it was revealed that the politics-focused news outlet had taken more than $8 million. And this is from USAID, the government, things like that. And a lot of it is subscriptions to a service that Politico provides, which I struggle to understand why we're outsourcing that. I've featured articles from Politico. They're, I believe, owned by a right-wing guy, but the paper itself or the news agency itself is left-leaning. But they weren't the only ones, And we're back. I had a piece of my confetti cannon got stuck underneath my keyboard there. Yeah, just full disclosure. But anyhow, the press secretary was saying that I can confirm that more than $8 million in taxpayer dollars have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime, and will no longer be happening. Well, lots of Democrats and Republicans use Politico's service, but what I like is that we're starting to see DOGE in action. Okay, they might not be perfect. We'll get to that. Okay, that's fine, but they're exposing where some of our money is going. And I think that's only fair because we have to cough up a large portion of our income. I get a Christmas bonus and I have to give almost half of it away to the state and the feds. And the least they could do is try to spend it wisely, you know? But they, like I said earlier, they weren't the only ones that benefited, you know? According to USA Spending Gov, the Associated Press, according to US Spending Gov, gets $619,000 worth of government funding, probably through subscriptions. Reuters gets 3.1. The New York Times, literally in their quarter 4 earnings report, had $378,000 earmarked from the government. Okay? I'm not saying these people have to subscribe to their own newspapers, but at the same time, they can fucking afford it. They can afford it more than I can afford it. So if they want the newspaper, subscribe to the newspaper. But taxpayers should not be paying for these people to get news delivered to them. They're supposed to be the freaking government. Come on. They're waiting for Reuters to tell us what to do. And that's part of the problem too. How much of this money is then being used to exert influence? Because we certainly know that places such as the New York Times certainly got behind the whole Hunter Biden disinformation scheme, right? They knew it was true. They said it was a lie, and newspapers ran with it because they get money from the government, and that kind of shit needs to end. And while we're on that subject, look at this one. Remember when Politico leaked the Dobbs decision and conservative Supreme Court justices were almost assassinated? Turns out that was government funded. It is. Politico's the one who released it. Why? Because the screaming memes on the left have say over what Politico does. It's in their best interest. They don't even have to say, oh, you better do this or we're going to cut the funding. Politico already knows that's how it works. The government should not, and I don't think Fox News, I don't think right-wing newspapers, I don't think any news agency should be receiving one dime from the taxpayers. You know, why is it that we fund something like NPR, and NPR basically only tells the truth from the left-hand side? Is that fair to taxpayers to pay for that? Is it fair for taxpayers to pay for Fox News? No. It's not fair for the taxpayers to pay any of these people because it's in these people's best interest to keep us divided. And taxpayer dollars go to that? And then you find this. Mike Moyer. He was a former USAID official. And he says corruption at the agency subverted the Trump White House. And he provides specific examples, right? In President Donald Trump's first term in the White House, the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, was rife with corruption, and staffers were intent on subverting the president's will on policy matters and sending taxpayer dollars overseas to further DEI and LGBT advocacy initiatives. A lot of them were beholden or had ties to the previous administration, the Obama administration. A large majority of them had voted for Hillary Clinton. Now, some of them did as they were told, but there was a large resistance, Mark Moyer says. In one case, I was at a meeting, and they talked about how there was this aid going to Syria, and we needed to hide it from the White House. That's kind of concerning, because we don't want President Trump finding out about it and canceling it. As Mark said, they apparently forgot I was in the room. Oh, boy. But, you know, the fight back has come from, like, the Washington Post saying, oh, it's not characterized accurately, some of these pet projects. But some of the pet projects have been vetted, and they're saying the only thing they have in common is they didn't align with Trump's political preferences. Well, what about our preferences? $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. Great. That's a great initiative. Why are we paying for it? $2.5 million for electric vehicles from Vietnam that they're going to buy from the Chinese? So we're giving them US dollars to buy from the Chinese? I don't think that's in my best interest. I don't think $2 million to give electric vehicles to Vietnam. No, that's Vietnam's issue. That doesn't advance our cause in the world. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy talk. And that's what DOGE is starting to expose, that there is some of this craziness out there. Babylon Bee here. Babylon Bee announces $36,000 a month pro subscription for USA funded government agencies. Yeah, because that's, of course, that's what they're saying is, oh, Politico doesn't just get cash, it's subscriptions. Well, they have this pro subscription that's like $36,000 a month or some crazy amount like that. It's like, we're the fucking federal government and we're going to some janky ass website? Come on, man. Another Babylon Bee here. Democrats warn Trump's unelected shadow government is dismantling their elected shadow government. Yes, because you give USAID money and then they operate outside. Okay, that's great. Congress approves their funding and says, hey, here's a big blank check. And then they write these checks to further personal goals, not for the good of America, not for the good of the planet, but because that's what they believe in. That's fine. If you want to go out and advocate for what you believe in, cool. But it shouldn't be on taxpayer dimes. It's just that simple. And I'll tell you what's going on with DOGE, okay? A lot of people trying to stop them, a lot of people contextualizing, and a lot of people saying they're the greatest thing ever. But look, here's the bottom line. To clean a house, you empty the drawers, you empty the cabinets, the closet, the garage, the shed. And then you trash what you no longer want, you recycle what you can, and you keep what's needed, and then you put it back. And that's where we're at. That's what I'm seeing out of the Trump administration right now. They are literally just cleaning out the cabinets to see what needs to go back. That's the same thing with USAID. Look, if you're just in there using USAID as your own piggy bank to support your goals around the world, then you need to go. It should be some of those things that I listed earlier. Trying to cut down on immigration by providing jobs for people or better futures for people, fighting AIDS across the planet, making sure that we know where this bird flu is going, making sure that countries are at least attempting to stop this radical Islam from growing and taking over the country, because we've seen that. There's a lot of evidence out there. Places like Iran, Iraq, places like that were in the 70s, perfectly fine places to be. But because of radicalized Islam, they're no longer good. And we can't be funding that. And if we know a group is subverting money there, then we don't need to be giving that group money. It's not pretty. It's not pretty what Trump's doing. I would agree with people who say it's a bit reckless. But to me, I also see it as taking everything out of the garage. Starting with a completely empty room and starting over. Because that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do in Washington, D.C. We need to start over. All right, this next segment, Babylon Bee kicks it off. Trump unveils exciting never-before-tried strategy of having America take over country in the Middle East. Yeah, he's talking pretty big about Gaza. And again, I think that's one of those things where we have to move it out. Like it says here, this came from, I think, MSNBC or MSN. I listen to anybody, okay? I listen to all sides. Trump wants Jordan and Egypt to accept more Palestinian refugees and floats plan to clear out Gaza. Yeah, that's kind of what needs to be done. It kind of needs to be a blank slate. It is right now just a slate that's in a bunch of pieces and refuge, and nobody can live there because so many vital services have been, destroyed. You still have all those tunnels that obviously need to be filled in or taken care of. But, like Trump was saying here, he'd like to see Jordan, Egypt, and other Arab nations increase the amount of Palestinian refugees they are accepting from the Gaza Strip, potentially moving out enough of the population to just clean out the war-torn area and create a virtual clean slate. And you know what else? He also released the big bombs to Israel. And I love what he said. We released them today, Trump said of the bombs. They've been waiting for them for a long time. Asked why he lifted the ban on the bombs, Trump responded, because they bought them. That's it. They bought them. It's theirs. Give it to them. We're not going to try to affect our policies onto what Israel does. That's up to Israel. That's one of the things that we really need to start focusing in on, is allowing countries to do what they need to do. Okay? I get it. There are a lot of countries that are not doing what they need to do. Israel, I don't think Israel's one of them. Israel is a very tolerant place. Whatever. We're not going to get into all that, you know. That we've covered. Trump has also offered non-traditional views on the future of Gaza in the past. He suggested, after he was inaugurated, that Gaza really got to be rebuilt in a different way. He added, Gaza is interesting. It's a phenomenal location on the sea. It's right there. It's got beaches. The best weather, somewhat like LA. Pretty temperate weather, a little bit hot every now and then. But other than that, things don't freeze. The best weather, you know, everything is good. It's like some beautiful things could be done with it, but it's really interesting. And that's the thing, is Gaza doesn't need to be the way Gaza is. But that was because of radicalized Islam. And that's something that needs to be dealt with. And one of the only ways I see it being dealt with is relocation and rebuilding. And hoping that the people of that region don't just fall right back into their old ways. Because one of the things that we need to look at in this story here is, why is it that Egypt and Jordan, fellow Arab countries, aren't taking in the people from Gaza? Because they're worried about them. They're worried about what they'll do to their country. Because Jordan, especially Jordan, has figured out a way of just being moderate Muslims, living and coexisting with everybody else on the planet, following their religion and leaving everybody else alone. Wouldn't that be nice if all countries did that? So keeping in mind what I was talking about early in this episode, I don't have a problem with trans people. I've said it before. I'll say it. I only say it because I just want it on record. I just want to be able to talk about some of these issues and look at the stupidity. But I'm not putting down the people. It has nothing to do with this. And of course, that means I'm talking about Emilia Perez. Everybody's heard the story. It's nominated for all this stuff, all these awards and everything. And so anyhow, I let AI kind of just give me the answers. So what's it about? A Mexican lawyer has offered an unusual job to help a notorious cartel boss retire and transition into living as a woman, fulfilling a long-held desire. Well, of course, to put a little more spin on it, when he becomes a she, they go back to Mexico to undo the evils that he had done as a drug cartel leader of a drug cartel. But he also reunites with his wife as an aunt. So he does a Miss Doubtfire type thing until one of the kids says, "You smell like daddy." Oh my goodness. Are you serious? As it says down at the bottom there with the AI. However, the film has been criticized for its portrayal of trans women as lack of cultural authenticity. Yeah. We'll save that for a sec. I asked AI I looked at the question from AI, is Emilia Perez worth watching? According to most reviews, Emilia Perez is not considered worth watching for most viewers due to its messy plot, shallow characters, and questionable portrayal of its subject matter. Although some might find it interesting for its ambitious themes and unique visual style, particularly if you're a fan of the director. Well, yeah. But most critics point out that the film struggles to fully develop its complex topics and can be seen as exploitive or poorly executed. Yet it's nominated for all of these awards because there's an agenda out there that just has to keep pushing this agenda. not even realizing that it's not working. That's not the way that change gets made, okay? So they make this movie that's like, ooh, this mean old man became a woman and now he's like, oh, a good guy, right? And look how good trans people are. Meanwhile, they pissed off all of Mexico and most of Latin America. They were using wrong accents. They didn't bring in authentic Mexican actors. They used bad Spanish. And some people have accused them of glorifying the cartel or sort of, whitewashing the violence and the suffering that these cartels bring with them. And then the racist tweets resurfaced. And now the star, who is supposed to be the poster person for this whole, up with trans people movement, has been exposed as having really, some hot takes on things. Surprisingly, most of them were very, I guess you could say, conservative. But this is Hollywood. I know this film wasn't necessarily made in Hollywood, but this is the movie industry where these people are so obsessed with their weak-ass agenda that they don't even vet these people. They don't care. They're perfectly fine to push gender ideology, but piss off all the people in a country. It's mind-boggling. But this is what we get out of the far left. This just need to push an agenda, and it doesn't matter who it hurts or who it offends. Here's another one. FCC chair says it's really concerning that a Soros-backed radio station exposed undercover ICE agents. This happened up in San Jose, KCBS 740. They were putting out alerts on specific cars in specific locations and identifying them. This is a problem. Again, this is pushing that agenda. Why is an American radio station protecting people who are here illegally and in a lot of instances not here for good? I really believe that this is a different wave of illegal immigration. Some of this illegal immigration was sanctioned by the Biden administration, this whole parole thing, this whole app bullshit that they pulled out. But these aren't people who work their way into the country. These are people who are coming here and in a lot of cases just getting what they can for free or exploiting our lax laws, our naive, our generous people. This is ridiculous, okay? This is absolutely ridiculous. But this is, again, the left willing to excuse criminal behavior for their agenda. But the hell is that agenda? Because when part of your agenda is protecting people who are not supposed to be in this country, I've got to think that your motives are suspect. Earlier I said, I'll take on any sources. These two sources come from PETA and Nancy Mace. I disagree with PETA wholeheartedly. I'm fine with not mistreating animals, but they take it way too far. And Nancy Mace, again, I like the lady, but she's so anti-LGBT, it's ridiculous. But this comes from White Coat Waste Project, and a lot of the information comes from PETA, And, one of their things is that they want to defund dog and cat labs, defund Chinese animal labs, reinstate the Trump's EPA animal test phase out, and abolish Fauci's animal labs. So it's kind of weird that this group is somewhat, I don't know, look at all the thanks down there. That's a lot of Republicans or non-Democrats down there. But last year, $10 million in taxpayer money was spent creating transgender animals. Are you kidding me? The DEI grants funded painful and deadly transgender experiments that forced lab animals to undergo invasive surgeries and hormone therapies at universities across the country. The fuck? Like, I don't even understand this, because Most of the people, I'm willing to guess that most of the people who are against lab animal testing are pro-transgender, but where do they fall on this? Because this is stuff that they found. They have the receipts. $10 million to create transgender animals. The Biden-Harris administration spent $2.5 million to study the fertility of transgender mice. I'm sure they can contextualize that. But they were so eager to propagate their radical gender ideology across all facets of American society that they were surgically mutating animal genitals, using taxpayer money for that. $2.5 million. I don't really care what you could or couldn't do with that $2.5 million. I'm willing to bet there's better uses. Okay? This doesn't make any sense. I want to, look, if the right was doing it, I'd be saying it too. Okay? But when that comes up, I'll deal with it. But, like Mace said here, wasteful government spending on animal cruelty is a nonpartisan issue. The U.S. government spends in excess of $20 billion a year conducting experiments on animals. We spent over $1 million to find out if female rats receiving testosterone therapy were more likely to overdose on a date rape drug. That's what your taxpayer dollars were being spent on. That's why DOGE is so important right now. Right or wrong, whether or not they're doing things ethically and all of that, dude, we have to clear out the entire room. We have to clear it out. Nothing in there. And we will put back what needs to be put back. But one thing we don't need to put back is spending money on mutating animals. That money could be going to feeding people in this country who need it. Or it could be used to build critical infrastructure. Maybe we could use that money to get the poor people in the farthest-flung corners of our country high-speed internet. But just wasting it, and then when all the money's gone, they want more. And that's what we see that like every day here in California. Earlier I said, we're moonshine-drinking, gun-toting maniacs, right? And we need to start acting that way. I like this one. This is by Bronco. You got the giant foot of the United States and a little tiny donkey down there biting on him, or a little dog maybe. That's a little dog. And it's Canada wearing the Canadian flag. And it says, we'll show them. No, nobody's going to show a shit. All right? It's time we need to get back. We need to get back to that. All right? We need to be a global superpower. There are issues that require a firm hand. And there's a few people out there that need to be bitch slapped. That's just the bottom line. Babylon B is going to end it for us here. Illegal immigrants helpfully wave flags so ICE knows where to send them. They were protesting in Los Angeles. You're protesting our customs enforcement agency from rounding up people who are not supposed to be in the country. That's the hill you're going to die on? I love how they're all, look at that. You can see it right there. They're waving Mexican flags. This next one by Bronco right here. You got this angry Hispanic guy, and he's waving a Mexico flag over here and burning a U.S. flag over here. And he's like, we're not going back. And then, literally, I believe we are the only country out there that really receives so much hate from people living here. But they certainly aren't going to fucking leave. It's just ridiculous. Where's the common sense in all that? Where is all the common sense in it? You live here, fine. You want to root for the Mexican soccer team? I got no problem for that. But you better be trying to be American. You better be trying to fit in with our laws and customs, or just go back to wherever you came from. This isn't directed just at one group. This is all of them. Under Biden, we had floods of immigrants coming from countries that we barely even had a trickle from in the past. Everybody came here and they're milking the system. They're making things harder and harder to solve because we've got to spend money on them, not the homeless, not trying. I'm not going to get off on that tangent because that tangent right now has me really pissed. The fact that, again, homeless U.S. citizens, even veterans, are getting less than some of these immigrants are getting. And now they have the gall to protest because it's not about what they're protesting. They just want to protest. They just want to feel like they're making a difference. And it's fucking bullshit. You're not making a difference, okay? Like the people who are out there trying to, we're not going to get on that. But we're seeing that a lot right now out of our youth. They want to rebel. They want to go out and pretend that they're fighting for a noble cause. And they're not. They're being led by the nose, by people with a lot of money, people who can organize these things, people who can support these things. And like I said earlier, if they're following that kind of crazy agenda, what's the end game? What's their motive? My motive is to bring people together under a purple banner. That's it. To start thinking rationally and with common sense and not going from guardrail to guardrail, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Because obviously the answer's right here. The answer's Kid Copious. I'm purple state. So are you. Love one another. Keep love in your heart. Don't allow issues to disintegrate how you feel about a group, because hate ain't ever going to solve a damn thing. That's my message of unity. Peace, y'all. Dance it out.